Knock, knock, Puddin'. Say hello to your new, improved Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn has had an interesting history. First appearing as a bit part in Batman the Animated Series, the character was a breakout star who actually made the jump from the screen back into comics. It's easy to see why. Harley's iconography was matched only by the tragedy underpinning her story. But, as creators explored more of Harley's abusive relationship with the Joker, fans began asking for more solo adventures, to give the character a level of agency and empowerment. When DC relaunched a number of its titles under its New 52 rebrand, Harley was put front and center, with her own solo title and appearances in other mainstream books. Unfortunately, creators couldn't seem to agree on just who the character was outside of her previous role, leading to a major lack of consistency with the character's identity. While 2020's Birds of Prey did a lot to rebuild Harley's identity, her other appearances still felt like creators were capitalizing on brand recognition rather than exploring the character. So, when I saw that DC was making an animated series with Harley as the lead, I tuned in.
It's got comedy, action, incredibly gratuitous violence, and unlike that Deadpool cartoon, it's actually coming out.
And didn't give it a second thought. Just another Deadpool-like with a bunch of beloved DC characters saying stuff like,
Pieces of
You
come on, I'm trying to be family friendly here.
Yeah, off.
But as time passed and good reviews kept coming in, I decided to give it another shot. And you know what? I was wrong about Harley Quinn. While Harley's character suffered from a lack of focus in other properties, this show gets a spectacular start by fully embracing the character's fractured identity. Any screenwriter knows the phrase wants versus needs, a technique used to show growth in a character by having them leave a comforting lie for something that helps them grow. At first, Harley's so defined by her relationship with the Joker that she actually creates her own lie, deliberately ignoring an obviously abusive relationship.
Till death do us part.
It was him all along, wasn't it? It's always been him.
This schism in Harley's identity manifests as visions of her past self, who, along with her friend Poison Ivy, convince Harley to find an identity outside of the Joker. Unfortunately, it's not that easy for her. Instead of moving on, Harley commits herself to beating the Joker at his own game, and that means a spot on
The Legion of Doom.
While she needs to move on, some part of Harley still wants to prove herself in the Joker's eyes, often at the expense of her developing identity. When someone asks her,
Who is Harley Quinn?
Harley has a full-on breakdown that forces her friends to delve into her subconscious, where they discover just how damaging Joker's influence was, or rather, still is.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you're not over your ex-boyfriend.
Her connection to him is still so strong that it's revealed she suppressed her own memories to make it seem like she and the Joker were fated to be together. A revelation that she overcomes with the help of her new friends.
It was easier to blame him than accept the truth.
And the truth being, what exactly?
That it was always my choice. That I was in control all along. And I still am.
With this, we finally define Harley's need and how it helps her grow. Unfortunately, that growth is threatened when her want comes back into play. Harley is finally accepted by the Legion of Doom, which puts her in direct conflict with Ivy.
Don't put your insecurities on me.
All right, here we go. What? You tell me what insecurity?
You just don't want me to join because you're afraid I won't need you anymore.
That's not true.
It's true. You can't handle it, can ya?
What?
You're trying to sabotage me instead of confronting the fact that without me, you don't have a single friend in this world.
I don't need this shit.
The Legion's membership also reunites Harley with her ex-abuser, and, in a regrettable move, she totally gives into her wants, only to see how hollow the rewards are. The Legion abuses Harley's crew, who end up leaving her. And to top it all off, the Joker chucks her out of a helicopter to help him escape. Again.
Some things never change, Quinn.
Still reeling from her loss, Harley tries to seek some peace from her mother, only to find out that she's gotten back together with her deadbeat dad. The Bensonhurst episode is full of great comedic beats.
Let's drink! That blood pressure's no joke!
But it also gives more insight into Harley's identity, tracing her abusive relationships all the way back to her family. It's this realization that finally lets Harley start to prioritize her needs over her wants.
Well, you turned on your crew just like I turned on you. Classic case of samesies.
No samesies! I didn't turn on my crew, they left me!
Yeah, because you were sucking face with that goyish clown. You've always had bad taste in men.
Gee, I wonder where I learned that from!
Reconciling with her crew and freeing Poison Ivy, Harley makes the decision to destroy the Legion and sever her connection with them. There's just one more problem. It's fitting that after all of her loss and growth, Harley has to come face to face with her tormentor one last time. And in an interesting twist, the show ties Joker's latest plan with Harley's shift in identity.
Come on. Remember how much fun you had in that costume?
No, I didn't have fun. You were the one having fun. It wasn't until I got away from you that I realized how deeply unfun being with you was.
After supplanting the Legion, Joker becomes the most powerful man in Gotham, but can't abide someone like Harley who openly rejects his control. His response?
Oh, I'm going to erase you.
Erase that new identity by bringing her back to the place where he thinks he created her. But what Joker doesn't get is that Harley's evolved. She's built an identity outside of his influence, one that makes her stronger than he could ever hope to be. Harley's friendship with Poison Ivy is what lets her beat the Joker, giving him the punishment he deserves.
I have friends that love and care about me. I'm moving on with my life with the people that matter, and that ain't you, Puddin' Droppin'.
Love to.
With Joker, the Legion, and Batman gone, the stage is set for an all-new Gotham and an all-new Harley Quinn. But that's a story for right now, I guess. While Season 1 dealt with Harley trying to rediscover who she is, Season 2 took a broader scope, contrasting Harley's ongoing growth with her place among her new friends. Season 2 almost starts as a retread, swapping the Legion of Doom for
The Injustice League?
and having Harley going after this newly formed group to prove herself as a supervillain. Harley starts the season gleefully accepting all of this, insisting,
This is what I've always wanted,
but deeper into the season, all of that starts to change. After she sees Mr. Freeze, one of those imposing villains, give his own life to save his wife Nora, Harley starts thinking about how much of her persona has been shaped by her warped relationship, a thought that only grows when she sees the Joker alive and well, give or take. Since last season's acid dip, the Joker's done a full 180 in terms of personality, taking on a healthy, long-term relationship and even a couple of kids. He even helps Harley to do some soul-searching, with his new loving relationship giving him perspective. Even after he returns to normal, it's clear that the Joker's connections have changed him for the better. This theme of growing beyond your past self is best shown in Episode 8, when Harley and Ivy are arrested, imprisoned, and forced to make a jailbreak. When the plan goes awry, Harley hears echoes of Freeze's example in Bane's weirdly inspiring speech.
You cannot run from your problems, darling. Hate weighs you down. Only love sets us free.
And gives herself up to save Ivy. Ivy, of course, returns the favor, and that's when the show takes a major turn. The fallout from this moment is so huge that it breaks the two apart, with each character falling back on constructed identities. Ivy diving headfirst into her wedding with Kite Man. Oh yeah, that happened. Did I not mention that? And Harley projecting a hardcore supervillain persona that isn't as airtight as she thinks.
Are you trying to fill an empty hole in your life, Harley Quinn?
What, is this guy my therapist?
There are some holes that not even an army of parademons can fill.
While Harley's able to drop her would-be evil identity, Ivy's still deeply entrenched in her own lie, which, over time, starts to show more and more cracks.
This is supposed to be the happiest day of my life, you know? I mean, that is, if you ascribe to those patriarchal norms about a woman's value fading after she gets chosen by a man.
It's clear that the two aren't compatible together, but Ivy isn't ready to change the same way that Harley is. This refusal to change is also what shapes Season 2's big bad, Dr. Psycho. Originally one of Harley's crew, Psycho refuses to be an underling and betrays his teammates to Darkseid. By snatching the opportunity Harley denied, Psycho becomes a dark reflection of her earlier wants, replacing his former connections with a desire for power. Not surprisingly, he's beaten by the very people and connections he thought he was above.
I am an all-powerful man! Come and get me!
Sure.
But while Psycho's only intensified, Harley's become something else entirely.
All I've been doing is reacting, getting in the Legion of Doom to show up Joker, stopping the Injustice League to get revenge. It's because deep inside, I didn't know what I really wanted, until now.
Just as Harley learns to accept her new sense of self, Ivy has her own epiphany at the end of the season. Learning at her wedding, during the vows no less, that she and Kite Man are two wildly different people.
Wow, that was a very specific picture that you painted of our future that I had not totally considered.
While Ivy's undergone a lot of change over the course of the series, her defining trait has always been her independent identity, which she realizes she'd have to sacrifice to have a future with Kite Man. The wedding falls apart pretty quick, and while Ivy still attempts to go through with it, her uncertainty is enough for Kite Man to finally say,
Hell
No.
and call it quits. And yet, the finale ends on a happy note. As Harley reunites with Ivy, the two leads both admit their feelings for each other, and that while the future's uncertain, they're willing to figure out who they are together. So yeah, I was wrong about Harley Quinn. After finishing the show's 2 seasons, I was taken aback at just how much this R-rated parody invested in its characters. The show's very humor-heavy, but the focus is always kept on Harley, charting her journey from fed-up former sidekick to self-possessed anti-hero. That focused, consistent identity is ultimately what grounds the show, and gives Harley the treatment she's often been denied by other creators. It made her feel more like a believable human being, which, set against a world of heroes, villains, mutant sharks, and cyborg landlords, is saying something. While the show's future is still up in the air, I hope its influence leaves a lasting impact, because it's given me the biggest attachment to this character I've seen in a long time.
Whoa! This is some George R.R. Martin Emmy Award-winning
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my video on Harley Quinn. If you like this video, please like, share, and if you're feeling generous, subscribe to my channel. I have plenty of new stuff on the way, so until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and look out for one another.